You are listening to an SAFM podcast, 104 to 107 nationwide. Stream us live on www.safm.co.za or via the SABC Plus app. SABC News, independent and impartial. Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Cabinet has confirmed the formal withdrawal of regulations gazetted by the Health Minister, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, which banned food products containing cannabis and hemp. Now, Dr. Motsoaledi had expressed concern over unregulated imported foodstuff containing hemp and its oils as well as cannabis. And this caused an outcry from various stakeholders and businesses, prompting a meeting between Minister Motsoaledi and President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, the Minister in the presidency, Tebogo G, says that further consultation will continue over this matter.
The regulations have been formally withdrawn by the Department of Health. If you'll recall, South Africa did a couple of things from the sixth administration. We developed a hemp and cannabis strategy because we understand that industry is a growing industry and it will be beneficial to majority of our provinces, in particular rural provinces. So we support the development of hemp and cannabis products and their and their good use, their licensing regulations and so forth. Also, last year there was the act that was passed following the Concord judgment for the private use of hemp. In line with that, the Department of Justice, together with the Department of Health, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Small Business, the Department of Trade Industry, I might have omitted another or two departments, and local government, COCTA. They are working on regulations to enable both the strategy, the hemp and cannabis strategy, and also the implementation of the hemp cannabis for private use purposes. And that, because all laws as they are implemented, there are regulations that are there. So you won't see the resuscitation of the health regulations. You'll have this interdepartmentally generated regulations, which will be public participated for, public consulted for people to make their inputs, the industry and everybody. But as part of our economic strategy is to grow the hemp and cannabis industry as a country. It's part of our economic strategy. But of course, there will be concerns about the impact if it's not regulated if its use is not regulated for children in particular and other vulnerable groups. But that is done in the sense of us promoting the use of hemp and cannabis as an economic sector of the country.
And that was Minister in the Presidency, Tebogo G. And for further reaction to that announcement, we join on the line now by the Chairperson of the Cannabis Trade Association Africa, Tebogo Tlhopane. Thanks for your time and welcome to Update at Noon.
Thank you so much. And hi to the listeners as well. Thank you for having the opportunity.
Mr. Tlhopane, your reaction to that announcement first and foremost.
Look, I mean, we welcome the announcement by the minister, and we welcome the intervention by the presidency to remind the ministers and all ministers really involved in the development of this sector that it is in line with the country's strategy to grow that sector, because we do see the opportunity of really great amount of jobs that will be created in that sector. As the minister Nchabeni has said, within even the rural sectors, which is where exactly the growth is going to be. If you look at Emampondo, Lusikisiki, which I will just name, they've been systematically being bombarded with poisonous stuff just to kill whatever they're growing. So these kind of things are great because it will make sure that there's development coming from those areas and many other areas like Lusikisiki and Emampondo.
So as far as the gazetted regulations, and with the full understanding, of course, that it will be withdrawn, but as it was gazetted, how did that affect the industry over the past few weeks?
Well, it was a mayhem. The disruption cost millions and millions of rands. Products were pulled off shelves, confusions, and all sorts of things you can imagine. A lot of people lost a lot of money in that, but we welcome again the fact that it was withdrawn. But we need a permanent withdrawal, and we need a an engagement, together with the Minister of Health, especially regarding the issue of food. And we must update this 1972 Act. It's old, it's outdated. We need to make it more modern. That's going to go in line with what we are saying. If the government is saying this sector is our sunrise and we want to put resources behind it to make sure it becomes a success, then we must look at the laws that are counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve.
Do you agree, though, with the concerns that were raised by the Department of Health that led to that gazette about the unregulated nature of foodstuff, especially that contains hemp and cannabis?
Well, I think the confusion is the lack of clarity from the Department of Health on understanding what did they actually ban, right? Because if you put a blanket ban and in response to say we want to regulate it, but what are you regulating? Because if you're looking at nutrition, which is hemp seeds that have nutrition, hemp oils, and all sorts of things that we are using and that are in major shelves around the country, if you look at that, then there was no requirement for a ban because these individuals and companies are already practicing good food standards for those kind of things. So you must not conflate the two issues of cannabis and hemp in food. Now, when you look at cannabis, we do agree that there definitely must be regulations around that. And we are also self-regulating as an industry. And we are here to guide the ministers and the different departments on how that should be done. Because we do understand and we want to protect, of course, minors and vulnerable individuals in this country when it comes to cannabis in food, definitely.
So you're not against regulation. You would ever like to have more input, is what I'm hearing you say.
Nobody's against regulation. There's regulation in alcohol, although we know the deaths that it's causing on a daily basis, but it's still regulated a bit more minimally, if you can look at that. And I think some of these gung-ho kind of reaction of blanket ban would be useful in alcohol. I mean, if you look at Soweto and many other townships around the country, they are a mess. These kids are drunk on a daily basis. That's a scourge that we need to really curb against. Cannabis has never been, in any shape or form, be responsible for such a scourge that we see in our country. So I think we need to align where threats are and where opportunities are. And at this moment, I think they are really, making a bullseye on something that really does not have such huge threats.
And I would imagine that the alcohol industry would have a lot to say about your assertion.
Exactly.
But with that said, though, and speaking of the sort of pushback that you may get, what about the notion that cannabis would be a gateway drug in most instances for people who then graduate onto harder substances?
Again, scientifically has never been proven to be the factor. In actual fact, alcohol has been proven to be the gateway drug for most of the heavy drugs people are on. That's a fact.
So from here on, are you still continuing? You did threaten legal action, did you not, on this particular matter?
100%, and we are still going to continue with those actions that we said we will do. Albeit they'll be different in terms of their approach because there is not going to be us going after a ban, but we must make sure that these kind of, blanket bans never happen again. We must make sure that we are updating this old 1972 Foodstuff, Cosmetics and Disinfectant Act. It's old. We need to modernize it.
And monetize. I'm sure you would want to monetize on it.
And definitely monetize it because automatically monetization will come. But we really got to, understand what are we doing as a country. We have a huge malnutrition. We read about it every day. And the schools, there is no, it's a feeding scheme, not a nutrition scheme. There's a difference between nutrition and being just fed. There's a difference. And I think we need to align those things and agree. And the signs are showing us that hemp seed protein are superior protein that could be fortified within these meals that they're giving our kids. So it's very important that we look at those things. And that will be huge explosion in terms of farmers that will be farming from these seeds, which will then be able to use to fortify. And it's not only cannabis, you've got moringa that does the same thing. So we really have to look at these opportunities as a government, from a Department of Health, Department of Education and Social Welfare, to say, what are the things that we can piggyback on? This sector as a sunrise, we as a country, how are we going to support it? Not that we are creating an industry that's going to be looking at overseas for export alone. We must build a sector here at home that will grow.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much. That was Tebogo Tlhopane, who is the chairperson of the Cannabis Trade Association Africa. Let us know your thoughts on this. You heard there during that briefing by the minister in the presidency that government has now formally confirmed the withdrawal of the regulations that were gazetted by the Minister of Health.
You can find SAFM Current Affairs on 104 to 107 nationwide. Our podcasts are available for download on all our digital platforms. SAFM, leading the conversation.